Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for taking the beautiful time of the day to spend it here with us in this room. We're going to be talking about the application of several super sexy and hot topics in our daily lives, and if and how it will impact us and humanity. And first of all, just to present a little bit more in detail our speakers, just so we understand why they are the most relevant to discuss on these topics. Starting with myself, I'm Veronika. I think there may even be some people here who I do not know. So let's fix this after the break. The same is valid for other panelists. Please do fix it and get to know them and get to know each other better. I'm working as a strategic advisor in a regional law firm, working specifically on corporate law. So we do get to work with a lot of tech companies, startups, established companies who have new technologies, who adopt them on a daily basis and put them in operations with them or with their consumers or businesses they partner with. We have here Aleksandra Đurđević. Aleksandra is the VP in one of the biggest companies in our region, headquartered in Belgrade, Serbia, Delta Holding. Aleksandra is not only heading the division of automotive, so import and distribution of various automotive brands, including those which are leading the developments in mobility and different powering of vehicles and autonomous transportation. She's also working on a lot of cross-divisional projects on the holding level, so touching on a lot of industries. Vladan, who comes from Novi Sad, is a founder and a leader of a big IT company headquartered in Novi Sad, operating across our region, but then also in the US, investing a lot as angel investor and as corporate investor in a number of startups, some of whom we have seen already in the previous days, some of them we will meet today. So one of the startups is Robotica, a startup still, Vladan?
Yeah.
It's still a startup. So one of the startups is Robotica, headquartered in Zagreb, so very much invested in the topic of robotics and applying it in business processes and optimization of how we run our companies. Then we have Martina Silov, who comes from, you actually come from Šibenik, but live in Zagreb. Martina is the leader of CroAI, an NGO, a non-for-profit organization, which for several years now has been promoting AI and its benefits to the general population of all ages, of all strata. So she and the colleagues that she works with have worked with, something like 30,000 people, bringing this topic closer to them. And Davor Sakač, who is joining us from Belgrade, and who comes from the TS Venture, the venture fund set up by the Telekom Serbia company. Okay, thank you. Davor has an excellent overview of the technologies and the startups that are pursuing the unicorns that are in the making, I would say, in our region. So we're in Adria, so we want to hear more about Adria and the trends that are happening here and how specifically AI and all the other technologies are being treated by investors of different kinds. So thank you very much. Thank you for the patience with the introduction. We will have 10 minutes, 10-ish or so minutes towards the end for your questions for any of our panelists. So if you do have a question, please write it down, put yourself a small note, and then we will have a quick debate or a long one if there are really interesting questions. Anyways, the good news is that the lunch is served after the panel. The bad news is that the panel is 1 hour, but then the good news is that it's these people talking, so you can't get it better, really. So let's start with the questions. Martina, I can start with you quickly,
Absolutely.
right?
Try.
Thank you very much. So you've been working for a long time with many people on bringing the topic of AI closer to them. And AI, it's like a big mystery. It's almost like teenage sex. Everybody claims to be doing it. Everybody claims to be knowing what it's about, but yeah. Remember your teenage years and it's going to be clear. How does it look from your perspective? So what are your best experiences so far? What are the hurdles? What are the pain points? How do you address them?
Yeah. First of all, hello to everyone. Really happy to be here and on this beautiful venue talking about end of the world with AI. I think our biggest fear so far is, biggest problem is the fear. And the fear comes from really simple thing, the lack of knowledge. So in your high school system, elementary schools, even on the faculties, you haven't learned about technology, like in general, what technology is, what is behind, for example, AI, Web3, blockchain, and so on. And you always, we usually blame the system. Oh my God, why didn't you teach us about that? But how? Because your professors never learned about technology, and you can't expect from them that they're going to teach you about technology. So I think that's the basic problem. And the research now said that you should change your curriculum every 6 months to 8. I don't believe anyone in the audience believes that's even possible. So I think the basic problem with our system is right now, and what we are trying to do as CroAI is to put professors as mentors, as facilitators of the things, and to bring the best tech stories into the high schools, in this case, Croatian high schools. And that's actually a copy-paste of what Ivy League is doing, or the best universities in the world. So they are really, really aware of that the professor can't catch up with the technology anymore. So they're like, okay, I have my PhD, but I can't teach you anymore. But I will bring you the best experts in the world to teach you. And what are we doing? We bring those cool tech guys, IT founders, startup founders, IT experts, project managers, product managers, lead engineers, and so on, and they tell their stories in high schools. And that project started 2 months ago, and more than 1,000 students was involved in it. And the students are like, you just changed my life. By a simple story of 45 minutes. Everything you need to know about technology you can learn from internet, how to, and that's it. You will learn anything, but the change of perspective, to teach your kids how to think critically, how to grow by themselves, how they should be the ones who are going to explore new technologies such as AI. So we did this to face the fear, but there's a short story. If I have the time, I don't know, can I? Yes?
Yeah, please.
Okay. When we started the story with CroAI, okay, we will found an association about AI, that's amazing. And then we Googled 3 years ago in Croatian Google, umjetna inteligencija. And the first article was about it's going to kill us. The second one was it's going to steal your job. The third one, Transformer 4 coming soon in cinema. And we were like, okay, we are starting a story, an association, a movement about AI in Croatia, and people are scared. And we found a short course about AI. It's like a basic course, introduction to AI world. It was created in Finland and it was spread across the Europe. And we brought that course in Croatia.
In Finland? I didn't catch you.
Yeah. And it's called Elements of AI. 2 years after, Croatia was the only country in Europe who reached the goal to educate 1% of the population about what AI is. And now you have 130 startups, AI startups in Croatia. You have 2 unicorns who are implementing AI. You have, I don't know, the biggest exit on Croatian market is AI startup is going to be sold at least for €500 million. That's an estimation. I'm not saying it. But you have that moment and people are starting to understand what AI is and what is technology behind it. So I think the education is starting point to further development of AI and so on. Thanks.
Thanks, Martina. Vladan, your company works a lot supporting other companies optimize their business. So implementing the softwares, developing the softwares for them to automate processes, to have digital transformation, etc., etc. And you use a lot of AI, I understand, and a lot of robotics in this process. Can you tell us a bit more about that? And then from your perspective, from the perspective of your employees or clients, how do you see that this will implement the future jobs, the workplace of the future? What will it look like?
Thank you. So first of all, I would like to demystify that. So yes, we use AI, we talk about automation, we talk about business process management, digital transformation, and stuff like that. So just let's go back 30 years and ask somebody what's or 40, 50 years ago, what's an information system? So it's you can have an information system on paper as well. It used to be like that. You had a purchase order or a invoice or whatever on the paper, and then how the technology evolved and how we moved on from mainframes to PCs and so on and so on. This digital transformation was happening. So we have now, what, 4 or 5 different generations or phases of digital transformation, and we went through all this process in life. So if you talk about automation of or AI or robotics, you actually have to understand that this has been happening from the Stone Age. So it's not nothing new. That's the first thing. Second thing, I think we talk about automation. It's a main key word of this panel that we have here, and I'm going to try to explain to you how we look at that. So first of all, I think AI or robotic process automation or automation itself, whether it's in everyday lives or in business, should make our lives better and should save us something. What's the biggest resource of all of us? It's not money, it's not profit, it's time. So I look at that from the bright side. So I think if we put some technology as an AI or something and automating our processes in our software for our employees or employees of our clients, or even everyday user on Google and stuff, in order to learn something or to for example, don't do any more repetitive, boring jobs and can be more creative and spend more time with his family or take care of the planet or whatever, it's a great thing. So to put that in perspective from the business-wise, because I'm obviously coming from the business software background and we do automatization of the processes of many companies. We invested 4 or 5 years ago in a company startup called Robotic AI, which is a very successful startup. It's a Croatian startup here in Zagreb. How we came about that? We heard about AI, we learned about that. We said, let's see how we can use AI, or even before AI, we were using scripting. I don't know if somebody's here from the development background, but it wasn't an AI at the beginning. It was a business rule engine. So we used later than AI, and we says how we can automate the processes that we as a company within our everyday job don't want to do repetitive work. Then we heard about UiPath, it was also based on business rule engine, and we said how we want to make that difference compared to them. So we implemented AI into very repetitive neural networks and stuff like that in the very repetitive jobs. So now you have something we call software robots. So don't get mistaken, it's not a robot walking around, it's nothing, it's a software sitting as a vision center. He's learning from the neural network through neural network stuff that you actually click, and he does your repetitive job. So I'll take example of one robot where one lady has to, in one of the banks, of the big banks, international banks that we did, she has to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. She has to open up 5 different banking portals. She has to then connect to that banking portals all the banking statements of thousands of people, and then put these banking statements to the portal to SAP. So in order when all the employees come at 7 o'clock in the morning, everything is ready. So we implement the robot. Robot is doing that for her right now. I hope she doesn't have to get up anymore at 5. She can get up at 7. And I hope from now on she can do some more creative job instead of doing some boring job. So what I'm trying to say, I think that this technology and stuff that we did was very innovative, and it actually gave us much more time with our developers and our employees within our company, and the services that we provide to our partners, our clients, that we can do much more things like Martina said, knowledge sharing, business consulting, and making our lives better. So I envision that as, in our job at least, as a digital employee who can do and make our lives better. And as I said, give us some more time for creative stuff, spending time with our families, take care of the planet, be more profitable, and do some more meaningful. I think from the other point of view, somebody's going to ask now, losing jobs, what's going to happen with that? That's a different point of view. I understand the scare of the people, and I understand all the stuff. But I think with our policymakers, we cannot stiffen the rules or overrule it. So we have to really take care of how we're going to control this. But that's why, as Martina said, education is very, very, very important. So we have to teach our policymakers about this, as well as our kids, as well as all of us, and actually demystify that. In our lives, in our business, in our client business, we have done that so far. Where this boat's going to take us, which is going very fast, and disruption is great. And I can say from our company, I like to say we're on the same side as a client. So we're not competition. We're not selling them anymore. We're a company of 30 years. And I see how this disruption was used to happening in the 90s, beginning of the 2000s, and now it's unbelievably fast. Unbelievably fast. So even us as an IT company or consultancy company have a huge challenge to change and adjust to these changes or learn that. So nobody has all the answers. I like the stuff, you know, if you take, you were mentioning ChatGPT, it's a statistical tool. As an SAS it used to be. So it's been happening before. We used to have, as I said, paper information system, then an ERP where we just wanted to have integration. When you put on one place data, it shows everything. It was a pioneering, trend-setting thing 20 years ago. Now it's a hot water. So I hope it's going to help. And as I said, you have ChatGPT today, then in 5 days they had 1.5 million users. It's amazing how fast that goes. I don't think that can be stopped, but it can be controlled. And CroAI, that in 30,000 people went through the courses of education just in Croatia. I think that's great, and that's the trend and initiatives that we have to make in order to people understand this or to actually use this technology, or let's say I was talking more from the holistic approach.
Mm-hmm. But we also need to learn to use it wisely, right?
Yes, you have to use it wisely. So
that's my impression.
Yeah.
Thanks, Vladan. You mentioned several things that I think are quite relevant for Aleksandra or for the industry that you're coming from. So one of the things that specifically caught my attention was we as humans, our lives will get augmented by AI and robotics because we will have more time to deal with more important issues, and one of them is protecting the planet. Making sure all of the environmental damage that we are doing is, well, if not reversed, then at least halted. And I think the trends in mobility and e-vehicles and vehicles powered by new sources of energy are actually one of the ways to halt, to stop some of those trends. And another point that you mentioned that I think we should be very much aware of. The pace of change, the pace of innovation that is happening today is the slowest for the rest of our lives. So what is happening today, all of the changes in technology and innovation, today they are the slowest because already tomorrow they will be faster. And in the years that are coming, they are going to be like gigantically, immensely faster, that we will not even be able to perhaps track them and catch up with them. And I think automotive industry it's been stagnating for 100 or so years, and now there are changes. So could you perhaps, Aleksandra, help us understand the key trends that we should be aware of, and your experiences, because you happen to be on the source of information, your experiences of these new technologies.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. You inspired me now with this perspective. There is one true visionary and genius, David Bowie, who had an interview in 1999 talking about the internet. He was asked about internet, and he said that it's unimaginable what it will do for the society in both good and bad ways. And when somebody said, but it's a tool, and he said, no, it's an alien life form. So, and actually I think that we're all facing now the situation that it is an alien life form, and that we're actually trying to peek beneath this tip of the iceberg. So in car industry situation is as you said, we have behind us, since the beginning of the car industry, one very traditional concept of, combustion engines that were developing faster, let's say, more advanced, more contemporary and everything, but everything was the same. This major shift that is currently happening in terms of electrification is one aspect, but the shift that is happening in terms of AI assistance and autonomous drive is actually the change that we're facing, that the car won't be just a car we used to have, it will be our full-time assistant. So my first experience was, it was a few years ago, we were having some event like on Kopaonik Mountain. It was some 4x4 experience in snow, so we didn't have available car for me, and the only 4x4 car that we had was 8 Series, and at that time it had these half autonomous systems, driving assistance systems. And I took a car, and the sales director said, okay, you have to try, you push the buttons and try to trust the car and try it. So I started, and I was driving, and the weather conditions were horrible. There was snow, there was some dust, there was mist, and everything was so I didn't feel like, letting go. But after a while, there were trucks, and I started to let go a little bit. And then the car started to act like a superhero. So it was literally moving from the truck. It was confident. You have radars, you have sensors, you have cameras, you have everything, and you feel so confident when you have a car who's taking care of you. Of course, you need to put hands on your wheel. You have to be in control, because this is like a future, this level 3, as they say. You have to be in control because there are a lot of things that have to be taken care of, such as liabilities, what will happen tomorrow if something happens, who is responsible, then of course cybersecurity, etc. But the feeling that I got was that the car was much better than me, and it helped me a lot. And I could even, trust me, to read my messages, but I didn't do that because it had some signal. It was like beeping, like put hands on the wheel. And the other thing was a few months ago when a colleague went for Munich to do some train-the-trainer course for motorcycles, and it's a huge protected area. They take your phones. You cannot, it's highly secured and everything. You have to keep the confidential information. I will share something with you. And then he said for a few days they had some trainings, and then the track just next to him there was few M vehicles. Some of you knows, most of you probably knows, but M vehicles are BMW high performance vehicle with strong engines, and they were literally driving for a few days. They were testing probably the endurance of the engine, but they were driving like crazy. He said they were drifting. They were driving like some fantastic drivers, and then finally when the car stopped, they didn't have drivers. So, I mean, this is happening today. These cars are ready, these cars exist, but of course you need a system. When we're talking about the smart mobility, it's not enough to have just a car. You need to have an infrastructure which will communicate with cars, which will communicate with you, and car have to communicate with car and everything, but it exists, and it's possible. And this is definitely going towards, and it can go towards the higher goals, to have, like many smart cities are already implementing and trying. In LA, you have this real-time systems that communicate with all the real-time and real-life information, integrating with the traffic signs and traffic lights, and they're changing, and then it improves the the traffic, it reduces the traffic jams, it helps the efficiency and of course the emission of pollution. So in China, not to mention when China went, also there are other cities when talking about the smart mobility, such as Helsinki, they're having some concepts and apps that you can use if you want to go from A to B. You don't use only cars. You can combine that with e-scooters, with e-bikes. You can have a route, and you can pay just for that one transportation with different means. And I mean, this is really super cool, and you can do it with just one app. So a lot of things are happening in the field of mobility, and yeah, and this with cars is exciting, but the car won't be just the transportation mean. And they say just, and I will finish with this, the car of the future, and actually it's not, as I said, it's not that far future. The life can look like, so the car leave you in front of the office building, you have your meeting. In the meanwhile, car goes to recharge or even to resell the electricity. If the car bought the electricity while it was the lower rate, it can sell it. So Honda did that, for example, and it can sell for the higher price. So you can earn profit with the car. So then it collects you, and meanwhile, when you're going to another meeting, you can discuss with the car. And there is, for example, this personal assistant, BMW. I tried that in Munich as well. For example, can you recommend me some Japanese restaurant with this rating within 3-kilometer range, and put it in my navigation, and I just go there, of course, by the most convenient and the fastest route. So it exists already. So as I said, when we have the system which is fully connected with the infrastructure and with other cars, they say 93% of accidents are caused by human error. And the producers are stating that they can eliminate human errors, I mean, when the car is in charge. We see the planes. Planes cannot crash because planes are communicating with each other. So the zero risk for the collision is actually possible. So I think that these times are coming, and this is the good way for the artificial intelligence to help us.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you, Aleksandra. So on the list of benefits, along with the banker who saved 2 hours in the morning, we also had all the people who actually get the autonomous driving and can do the SMSing and texting in the meanwhile, plus the PA, plus the personal assistant who is in the car, yeah, on top of the clean energy and the better technology for our planet. Thank you very much. Davor, you've been in the VC world for a long time. You know, with all of these technology developments, 1 year is a long time, and few years is like really a long time. Yeah. Would you mind sharing with us? So I think you had your view on infrastructure and technology, which enabled us to have this huge leap of AI, or at least as we perceive it. So if you would like to share it with us, so that would be great. And one of the things that I think you are most knowledgeable from all of us here is the landscape globally, but specifically in our region. So in Adria, what are investors looking for? What are startups working on in terms of AI and other technologies which will ultimately work on augmenting humanity?
Yes. Hi, everyone. Basically, yeah. We are the classic VC, basically corporate venture fund, and behind us is staying Telekom Serbia. And you know, when you said that you are a corporate venture capital, everyone just think that you must search for some technology for the future for your mothership company. But you know, we are just trying to find good opportunity for investment, and that's why how to say, we are open for any good ideas. If we are talking about the artificial intelligence and AI, that is now a hot topic. You know, everyone just wanted to develop something, and they want to put AI in the name of the company, but it's not so easy to be artificial intelligence company. And if you ask me, in the whole region, I heard just for the UiPath, that's the famous company. They're coming from Bucharest, from Romania. They are now the Decacorn. They're producing something in robotic AI field of business. And what is good thing of UiPath? They are put this part of Europe on the map globally, that we know how to produce something in the deep tech. The main thing in AI and artificial intelligence, you have machine learning. You have machine and learning how to learn that machine. And the point is that is too expensive process. The costs are so high. For example, OpenAI, the startup who is now hot topic in the world. Microsoft invested $1 billion in 2019. That's the $1 billion in early stage. They just begin. This year they invest $10 billion in them. If you want to develop something from this AI field of business, the costs are so high. And my fear as a venture capitalist is not that the AI will take the businesses and the working place from humans. My fear is how to get the money back. I want to invest the money and I want to sell that in some period, I don't know, between 5 and 7 years, and to have, some 10x or some other number before that. And that's the only metric, and those numbers are only thing what we try to understand. The technology is too complicated, especially if we are talking about this deep tech thing. The only thing what I want to understand is how to solve that. If you develop, for example, Microsoft investing $700K every day for new learning models, to teach their machine. I don't know where is the margin, where you are on the positive zero, how to sell that product, how much to take from your customer. Is it easy to sell? How to scale up that business? Maybe we are young and small fund, but that's the metric how we try to understand whole these field of business with the name of AI. And I must say that in our portfolio, we have one deep tech startup. The name is ANI, and they are on the list of the 10 most prospective hardware developing AI companies in the world. They are on the list with the, I don't know, AWS, Google, Microsoft, and all these huge companies.
Based in Novi Sad, right?
Yeah, they are from Novi Sad. But they're just now in the phase of MVP. The truth will be when they start to sell the product, and who will buy that? No. How to get the money? Show me the money. That's the only fear and the only question. And I believe in AI definitely that will help us to live more comfortable, how to say. If you compare this period, I don't know, in early stage of second industrial revolution, you have children from 7, 8 years, they worked more than 12 hours in some mines every day. Today we have some, I don't know, initiative, and we have, I think that our working week will be 4 days and I don't know, 5 hours. That means that I think that the people and the humans will work not least smarter, maybe smarter, and machines will help us how to solve some, I don't know, easy problem, not to spend a lot of time for some other things.
Thanks, Davor. Thank you also for dropping in the smart word. I'm wondering, and perhaps Martina and Vladan, I think we were mentioning briefly, will people with the use of these technologies become obsolete? Will we stop using our brains and become stupider, or smarter, or in the other perhaps another direction? Will there be room for non-engineers in the world of the future? So what will people who are creative do?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. I will go in that street. So first of all, the AI world, the tech world, is not just for engineers. I think that's the first myth that we have to solve. For example, when we look at the AI sector, for the last 30 years, or 30 years ago, I would say, AI was just for scientists. So a couple of guys doing something nobody knows about, and that's it. For the last 10 years, AI is about engineers, and just engineers for doing AI. For the next 10 years, it will be about design of AI, and that doesn't include engineers anymore. They will be helpful, of course, but design of AI is something that we should all be thinking about, because you need people who are, I don't know, studying philosophy, psychology, sociology, art, and so on, because these are the people who are going to be involved. I think the future, what you mentioned, like, are we going to be more stupid or we will be just relying on that technology? I think that's the wrong way to think about it. And I don't agree with the rest of the panels that we will have more time to be with our families, think about environment, because how many hours a week do you work?
Is this
Two
official?
person.
Yeah.
24.
No, like for real.
12.
A day.
Yeah, day.
A day. And you?
8.
Okay.
I mean, it's all the time you work.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's no time for fun. Like, it doesn't go that way. So I believe with new technologies, you will just pass the boring shit you do on technology, on some AI assistants, some chatbots, some, I don't know, personal assistants, robots, whatever. And you will have that, the rest of the time, it will be about creativity. You will, like, I think we will be exploring our minds even more and see what our really potential is. And I'm really looking forward to that time. I can't wait that some things that I'm right now doing to pass on technology, and that AI is doing that, and I should be the one who is concentrated on creativity.
Vladan,
Yeah,
please.
just to answer your question, I think your answer is yes and no. So if I look at myself and my kids, I think they're much smarter than I am. Are they smarter or mature emotionally? What kind of intelligence we're talking, what kind of smartness we talk? I think regulation is very important. I think that Martina is right. And at my time, and I was starting with all engineers. Today, the companies, my late father used to say to me 25 years ago, you're going to see one day every business is going to be IT business. I didn't understand what he was saying. But when you see Uber or TripAdvisor or whatever, or now this technology, it greatly changed, and every one of us became that. So at my time, it was like all the people were even developers or some kind of architects, engineers. And now today, you see that creative people from academy or designers or even everyday people from the business become leaders in these companies. So if you say Elon Musk or some of these guys, okay, they declare themselves as engineers, but they came with an idea. I think it's very important that we distinct two things: technology and the problem or a creativity that you want to learn. What we do in our business is that we try to invest just in things that we understand, and it's going to make lives better of the things that we do and we do. Everybody started that. So let's not be unfair to technology and put that scarce to AI and stuff like that. As I said, it's just a technology. But regulation is very important. It's very important that this is a boat that it's not going to stop. Whether it's internet or Google or AI or ChatGPT or Bard or whatever, it's not going to stop. But as I said, I think we have to educate general population, the kids, and people who make the policies and regulation of what, for example, kids should look or not. If you look at it from the bright side, I agree, our day of work should be a four days a week. And my answer to come back to your question is, yeah, I believe that our kids are much smarter than us. Are they emotionally ready for something like this? And should we let them sit on the phones or use ChatGPT for their essays or something like that? I'm not so sure that we should. Am I using it to make a 10-minute long email to help me do it in 2 minutes? I do. So what I'm trying to say, it's we have to be smart, and we have to navigate this boat that is going really fast. So yeah, let's say he's going really fast through a very fast river, and we're sitting on the huge boat like this, on this calm sea, that we have to make this turn that it's much, much wider and takes much longer time. So to find a balance or correlation between these two things, we should do it. And probably education is an answer. So that's why I think CroAI is doing a great job, and we should, through universities, not just IT, but all different majors or concentration on the whether public schools or private schools, universities, we have to educate first our regulation stuff. So let's not stiffen it up and make out of this something that it cannot, but also let's not over-regulate and let everybody do whatever they want. So.
Great, thank you. Aleksandra, what would be your biggest concern about implementing more and more technology in our lives, either in the mobility sector or overall? And what would be your top benefit?
Yeah.
Other than texting while driving.
Yeah, well, I'll just have to repeat what Mr. Balaban, Martina, and Davor said. I mean, these areas are very, there are fine lines between when something is useful and it can be harmful sometimes. When kids are young and when they're fed with some, for example, contents that are not good for them, and they're creating their minds, and they're becoming people with some content, and it's already happening. So, and we're all as a parents facing that you have to try to control a little bit and to shift maybe these things towards some direction. When people are older, it also happens, but we're all older and we have our personalities, and if we're lazy, we're just gonna read ChatGPT. If we want to be creative, if we want to use it for a good purpose, then it might help us to be more creative and to find time to do something out of it. So, but these not to over-regulate it, it's also important, but to find some kind of regulation in order not to create damage, it's also very important. And these risks that I mentioned, for example, with autonomous vehicles, is also very complex now. And the reason why governments are not releasing these cars on the streets yet is because the matter is complex. What to happen with cybersecurity? These complex vehicles can be. I mean, so the vehicle is the most complex consumer product in the world with 30,000 parts, not to mention this cyber option. I mean, it's very complex and very dangerous. So the regulation has to be very strict in order to have, if we want to have safe, but it's not enough just to have safer streets. It needs to be clear what will happen tomorrow if something happens. So yeah, we have to be very smart, but as we said, this alien life form or whatever, it's already rolling and it cannot be stopped, but it have to be controlled and put in, let's say, some order.
Thank you. Davor, I would ask you very similar. So what do you see as the biggest benefit, especially through your line of work, and then in terms of how our lives will be impacted, hopefully for the better, since we're talking about benefits?
Yeah, if you ask me, I think that currently AI makes our life easier. Good example of how we could deploy AIs, for example, in medicine, but just in diagnose part, first and second protection, how to say it, because you don't have these human subjective feelings. Maybe they are tired, maybe they are not satisfied with the job. If you want to put that part of the business to machine, maybe they currently give us 100% good information what is your diagnosis. But in the next step, maybe some complicated operation, they couldn't change us. And the doctors could make more attention, on some complicated solving problem and something, like that. And I think that there is a lot of good examples and the field of the everyday life where AI is very useful. If you ask me what is the main, what could be the problem, I like to have some diversity of opinion, and maybe in the future, if we I don't know in which way all these AI thing will going on, but maybe if you ask, please ChatGPT, tell me something about something, maybe all of us will have the same conclusion about any problem, maybe. And, imagine that we have some election and please ChatGPT tell me who to vote, that is something what I think that we must be very careful in which way that could be. I think that, okay, I still want to have this diversity of opinion, and give me some resource, I will make my own conclusion what is good for me, and maybe, you know, that is add value in my business. I don't know how to AI could, you know, change my position in my current job, because there is a lot of subjective thing, you know, feeling how to feel the teams, people, and a lot of other things, but we will see, you know. We are just on the beginning of all these, how to say, roadmap, and I definitely believe just in positive side of this.
Vladan, you wanted to say something?
Just, it's a circle, cycles. It's very important to understand that in the late 70s and 80s, the biggest research centers of the big companies, as HP, IBM, Univac, were based in Rochester Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, which is the best clinic. So it's absurd. We are talking now on AI, something that we are afraid, and the biggest investors and the pioneers that help IT technologies actually people, brain surgeons, or statistics was the #1 thing that we used, and now even ChatGPT and everything is based on that. So it's just a cycle that we shouldn't be afraid of. It's much more important that we as a society embrace that. But whether our lives are going to be better or not, yes, they are, aren't they? I think they are. Whether we lose a lot of stuff that we have more time, how we use it and stuff, and did we get the attachment of families or friends and stuff? Yes, we did. So it's not just for our IT people or some businessmen. And if we chase the, you know, people say that we freeze for 6 months. Nobody can freeze anymore. But they freeze the competition or somebody that want to catch up, and everybody's just chasing profits and stuff. And I know my colleagues from the VC funds and stuff, Julian is here. We had an argument last year about that when he says money's there. It is, and we invest a lot of money, and we should. But from our point of view, we have to think of this other side. But I really do believe that our lives are better. So.
Thanks, Vladan, and I hope Davor does get the 5-hour, 4-day working week. That was the target, right? I'm very glad you mentioned this, and it actually reminded me of the parallel between what is about to happen in the very foreseeable future, and what was happening in, let's say, ancient Greece and Rome. So in the history of human civilization, along with Mesopotamian states, this was the peak of our civilization. Aristotle, Socrates, all of the amazing writers, they were able to do that because they had plenty of free time. Slaves were doing all the work. So if you manage to have the technology, the different technologies doing all the the tough work for us, be it whatever, mining or managing a cruiser or getting up at 5 to scrape the reports and update them in the ERP. If we manage to get free time to be able to allocate it to becoming a new Aristotle, oh, hell yeah, why not? There are ethical concerns though, and I think the previous panel discussed this, so we wouldn't go there. We have a few more minutes left. I see there are already questions. You did want to have a question, right? No, you were just scratching. Okay. But anyways, if there are any questions, please let's have them. Let's have them very brief so we can also have a few other people. I see Dan, and if there is a microphone so Dan doesn't have to shout, that would be amazing. Otherwise, Dan, please get up so people can, also the audience can hear you, not only us. Okay.
Thank you, Veronika, for running such an amazing panel. Thanks to all the panelists for sharing their such positive attitude towards the AI applicability in our future lives. I just wanted to ask, maybe the question goes to Martina. Since my generation was raised on Terminator 2, Judgment Day, and I'm still very skeptical about what's going to happen in future. What can we do? I mean, whoever does, I mean, maybe I'm ignorant at the moment, but whoever does in feeding AI with information that's going to be used in later applicability, provide information, and at the moment, it's still the information provided by people. So you have, like, I don't know, 3 doctors and 4 different opinions. You have manager who can prescribe you working for 12 days in a row, and others will say 4 days in a week. What is the role of all of us posting information on the internet and sharing the information, and how this can be kind of not regulated but filtered somehow, that the best would be somehow taken out and then used for programming and providing information that can be delivered to whoever's asking for information. I hope I was right about the question. I mean, you got me.
I believe your question is about regulation.
Regulation, or how
Terminator.
Terminator,
how can we prevent AI to become stupid?
That's an answer, yeah.
You can't.
You can't. Okay, so yeah.
You can't, but I was actually, I wanted to comment about regulation. There's nobody, like body, UN or whatever you want to mention, that's going to regulate AI. There's no regulation of AI. Nobody's going to say yes to that. What? You're going to regulate AI in Europe, and then you're going to buy the products from US, or you're going to buy the products from China. If you're going to regulate something, you have to regulate it in the whole world. I don't have an idea who is going to regulate that. Do you have an idea?
No, I don't. It's very tough.
So
question.
you have the situation right now in Europe that AI Act is being voted and is going to regulate the development of AI. It's okay. They wanted to stop the big companies to do I don't know what. Okay, but the problem comes that when you talk to big companies, they're going to tell you, we will find our way out. We always do, like no matter what. The small companies, the startups will be stopped. And you know what they're going to tell you? Okay, I'm moving to US, I'm moving to Israel, I'm moving to China. I don't care. Because if you are not going to let me do my job, to experiment, to test, and so on, I can't create a startup in Europe right now. So, and eventually you will just end up buying things from US, like you do it now, or from China, like you do it now. So I don't think we should be focused on regulation. I don't think ever before the technology couldn't be stopped. Okay, it's moving really fast, but you now already have the laws to say, okay, you're guilty or not guilty. If the company, autonomous vehicle, if something happens, the company is responsible. It's really simple. You have the laws. You just have to implement them with this, according to this technology. So I don't think we should be saying, oh my God, we have to regulate, oh my God, we have to do that. Let's focus on education, like I said before, and let's focus on, you can do this, you can sit aside and be sad and worried about what's going to happen, or you can be happy and see what this toy, this new toy can do for you, and how can you have a better life.
So we hope for the best, and Dejan, with the other Dejan, we qualified the topic for the Adria Summit 2024. And I think, yeah, we already have a few arguments there. We have another question here. Could you please say your name and where you come from and the question?
Sure.
Please.
Nicola, Electrocoin. So if I correctly read the panel, except Martina, everybody agrees more or less that we'll have more free time because of the advent of AI. So if somebody could just operationally walk me through how we would get there. I'm a CEO of a 35 people company. So what I see happening, in a year we'll probably fire our copywriter. In the next 5 years we'll probably fire our customer support and half our operations, a few junior developers. Now they will work less because they will be unemployed and they will have to, re-educate. I will probably not work less because of the reasons that everybody here mentioned. I'm a CEO. I'll always work like 80 hours a day. So if you could just explain to me how from here, how we get to the place where everybody works less and we still have the level of employment that we have right now.
Anybody feels like it?
Yeah, I'll answer that. So it's a great question. I also run the company of a couple hundred people, developers. And some of my friends from US called me and says, do you read this all AI stuff? What's going to happen with developers? Maybe you should sell now because you don't know what's going to happen. Maybe AI, who's going to develop programmers and stuff like that. So there's also a question. So first of all, what does it mean free time? If the answer is free time, that I'm not going to do anything and be in a Roman time, maybe I'm going to just drink more and party more, so which I do now when I have more time. So I'm just kidding. But free time means that I don't think that that they're going to have free time, or it obviously depends on you. You're a CEO. But free time to do more creative things than other things, and it's our responsibility to re-educate those people and to transport them to a different creative free time stuff that they can do. Whether they're gonna lower the number of employees, or I don't think so. I think it's gonna go up. Whether some individual is gonna be hurt if they don't educate, if they don't transform, yes, they will be. Whether our responsibility is to change that and to help them to do that, yes, I think it is. You as a company, or me as a company, on the software that I was talking about, we have much more time now to develop new stuff or new functionalities or new creative things for our clients with the people that we're doing, for example, repetitive jobs with our software robots. I'm talking from the point of view what I know. I don't know everything, so I'm gonna be careful what I'm talking about. So I think, yeah, in that sense, more free time. Whether my kid's gonna have a free time if the ChatGPT or somebody's gonna write his essay, probably yes. How he's gonna use it later on to learn something or read something, that's up to us. So yeah, it's gonna be more free time, but how we're gonna navigate, that's, I don't know.
I think Davor may have an idea. And I think also the announcer is getting a bit upset because the lunch is getting cold.
Okay.
So Davor, please share your idea, and that's it. Huh?
I think that we are now the witnesses that everything is changed. You know, our parents teach us how to. You must finish your formal education. You must find some secure job. What are you mentioned? That your job and your business will be secure in the next few years. I don't know. Today, everything is in the pivoting yourself, upgrading yourself, and prepare yourself for some next stage, unpredictable things, and that will be the game. You know, we must prepare new generation who will be. They must think faster. They must execute faster. They will be some completely different people than us, and also their parents is. You know, I think that education, you know, that is something what they must have. That's the baseline. But everything after that is add value, you know. How, and I think that, you know, we are talking about entrepreneurship and some new small business. Some small business from Croatia and Serbia could be the, you know, the biggest business in the world. And we must continue with this approach to help the young people to change their minds that today they have something what is secure perspective. Tomorrow we have some corona, we have, I don't know, some a war in Ukraine, and everything just stopped. You must find what is your next step, how to pivot yourself. Are you want to sell the company or to do something different? But you must be, how to say, there is no safe job and secure, you must run very fast.
Thank you everyone. On the panel, thank you to the speakers, thank you to the guests, and thank you for the amazing questions.
Thank you.